Hi, this is Mia, and it's Sunday. Technically I have the day off, but there's an event going on in about 2 hours I have to leave for. And I don't like going to events where you're expected to bring a gift because I don't know. I'm having a hard time with just even getting my kids our basic necessities and paying our bills, so it's really difficult. And I feel that I should go because there's very few times in a year that I get invited to things, and I think finding healthy relationships in the community, friends and family, I don't have family in this. I have my 2 kids, but we don't have outside family, so being a part of someone else's family I feel is important. I have spent the whole morning basically watching YouTube videos about manipulative and controlling people, about some tips people gave on how to stop this behavior. I guess the first tool is recognizing that when you feel you're being manipulated, or when somebody's controlling you, or they have this easy way to trick you or guilt trip you into doing something that they want you to do, or for instance, I have a family member who's known me since birth, and they know how to manipulate and control, and I'm almost under the, not almost, I felt over the years that in order to have a relationship with this family member that I have to do what they say. I'm an adult, and it's like, why am I letting myself fall into this trap every time? And I found when I avoid this person's phone calls and emails, that they become very angry, and they will pile up. They will build up. Like the kids used to have the film containers, and I believe you put water in like Tums, or is it Tums? No. What is it that you put in there? Alka-Seltzer? I don't remember anymore. I'm not used to like normal medications. Anyways, you put the little fizzy thing, the little pill that gets all fizzy in water, inside of the film top, which no one ever really has anymore. And then the top blows, and I think you put them upside down, and it like goes. We took them outside. They go up, way up high. It's just like that. Something that started as, it's like there's this separated from this, and when they're separated, it's like nothing really happens. It's kind of stagnant. And then when they're together, it's like this person gets angry at me. It's like activating that little capsule in a very tight container until their top blows, and then they spew this junk, all over you. And like I say, they're explosive. They spew all this stuff, and just like, it's like somebody like, it's almost like you see some of the movies. It almost reminds me of the Ninja Turtles or something. I think the radioactive, but it's like you almost see like somebody has like a pipe going out into the river, and it's full of sludge, and it's just green, and it's disgusting, and it's just like, don't touch it, don't let your kids near it, like, don't breathe it in. It reeks of toxins. It's literally toxic, and that's how I feel. The longer that I don't talk to this person, the more it builds up, and the longer I don't talk to this person, the more I get strength, the more that I do have normal conversations with normal people, and realize, and part of the problem is that I might have a normal conversation that turns into, oh my gosh, I think I'm being manipulated, do you have any suggestions, and they're just like, oh my gosh, you're driving me crazy, like, you're stressing me out, like, so right now, I'm in a position where I'm like, I need to really look at, it's like, I just like thanked God for YouTube. I'm like, dear God, I know that this is people, that this isn't, I've been praying about it, ask God to guide me in a direction, and asking God to help me, some of the churches and, even like Christian radios be like, don't listen to your heart. Your heart is going to drag you to the wrong place, and you can't always listen to your instincts. That could be from the devil or something. Like people, but it's like, I feel like we just were born more when we were babies and little children than now, with this more being able to sense evil, being able to sense danger. Mama bears and their cubs are like, when there's danger and somebody's threatening their habitat, it's like, you better get out of Dodge if you're that person. That, if you're out berry picking and there happens to be cute little cubs, like, no, don't touch, do not touch, walk away. It's like, and I haven't encountered that, so you might want to take that advice from somebody else who knows what they do. They're trying to say, if you see a bear, stand tall and all this stuff. It's just like, I don't think we're going to be climbing any trees, because they'll just follow you right out there. Where are you going to go? It's like, if you run, you can go different directions. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is, it's like that instinctual gut feeling, that protection of your own self, your own offspring, your own species, and I know, in biblically speaking, it's just like, they said man was in charge of the animals, all stuff, and I know a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum with feeling that we came from this one cell, and that we were animals or whatever. Like, people have this different, I believe the Bible perspective, but it's like, one way or another, from my perspective, and it may not be the truth, is like, God, I got a guinea pig over here, I got a rabbit over here. They both have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, some teeth, tongue. They got 1 throat that goes to their lungs. They got a heart. It's just basically, they got what I got. We got the same. Those with 2 nostrils. We all make different sounds. We communicate with each other. They communicate with me. I communicate with them. Because we train each other to understand each other. Like, this guinea pig has kept me up. For 2 nights I slept downstairs with them, and they keep me up all night. He keeps me up, squawk, squawk, squawk. And it's like, it's like, that means he's hungry. Like, I've been trained, and he's trained himself to say, if you squawk like that loudly and clearly, they will come and feed you eventually. It's like, and so I just find, in the old church, trying to be like, we are not animals, and then the other people saying, oh, we are animals. That if you're going to take a science class, whatever your beliefs are, it's like, I'm a human, I'm a mammal. A dog is a human, is a mammal. It's like a whale or a dolphin is a human, a mammal. They nurse their babies and provide milk. Cows are mammals. It's like, period, and one way or another, it's a very similar body structure set up with 4 limbs, and as far as like warm-blooded critters, even birds have 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, and they might not be called nostrils, 1 mouth, a beak. They got just like big lips, it's like fingernails on their lips, and it's just very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So that animals have instincts. That, I used to have cable when I was a kid, so I could watch those videos where the predator is going after the prey, and the gazelles or whatever in Africa would be running, and it's like the weak one would be the one that get it. Everyone else is just like, one person senses danger, or one animal senses danger, the tail goes up and they make some noise, or they start running and they start darting back and forth, because they dart back and forth. It's harder for the lion or whatever is going after him to get him, and then the slow, weak one ends up being eaten, and they might not even eat the slowest, weakest one, because you don't want a sickly piece of dinner. You want like somewhat healthy, so they might get the youngest one, who has the shortest legs, or the one that was caught off guard because they were curious and they were playing in the mud puddle, or I don't know. I just watch those videos, and you just watch the things dart. One way or another, it's like, ding, 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 alarms going off. Get the heck out of there! Like, now, run for your life, literally. And humans, I think we lose that. Like, we have machines and stuff set up. It's like, there's a fire alarm that went off. What do we do? I smell smoke. Should we leave? Like, I've gone through things like, do we really have to leave? Like, well, we should probably leave. If we don't leave, we'll probably get in trouble. Like, in the college dorms, or like, there's tornado warning going off, and it's like, oh, I guess I didn't know I was supposed to go to the basement. Oh, I didn't even know there was a basement. It's like, calling my mom on the phone, scared, tornado warning. Oh, I'm in this sky rise, and then I find out, oh, the morning bell meant you're supposed to go to the basement. Like, oh, they should have gone door to door or something. But I'm like, yeah, there's machines and these devices. It's like, instead of like, oh my gosh, I smell smoke, I see fire, I feel heat, get out, get out, like, just get out, get your family, get out of there. And it's like, the animals, trying to run across the street, they feel the car coming, and they're just like, okay, turn around, like, which way is the best way to go right now? Do I turn around where I come from, or I try to make it across the street? And, occasionally the squirrel, they stop in the middle of the street and they think, or there's those people that's cats lay in the middle of the road, and they look up at you while you're driving down the street, and then they're just like, sunshine, I don't care what you do, and you're just like, okay, that is like, this cat owns the road, it's just like, maybe my best interest to go around it. I've had many animals run over, and it wasn't cool. I tend to stop the car, roll the window down, talk to them, tell them keep move it, and if I'm in a hurry or there's cars behind me, I will honk the horn. But I don't know where this conversation's going, but I just feel like there's a lot of people that will steer you away from not listening to your instincts, and I think a lot of us lose that instincts. When my kids were very little, we did have where you could see their instincts so clear. You could see if you let them do what they're going to do, even as infants and babies. It's just like, it's so amazing. And I've allowed my kids to continue to use their instincts and their internal knowledge, and because of the human brain and everything, they also have a lot of knowledge brought in as far as education and scientific and language learning and music. Like, they've got a lot of skills in this, like, stuffed in these brains of theirs. I was told, one of my children, like, and possibly me, like, oh, you have your primitive reflexes, you're supposed to lose these when you're a little kid. And it's just like, you're doing testing on this, and it's like, something's being like they take a pen or something and move it in a certain way, and it's like, the kid, like, moves a certain way. But it's like, if I was homeless and curled up under the bridge, or in a tent or something, and a snake or a wild cat or something comes up to me, or even a person tried to steal my wallet or something, I'm sleeping with my purse, and I feel this, and my body moves a certain way, and then I, like, jolt up. I don't care if it's called a primitive and reflex or not. That sensation that my body just did is alerting me that there's danger, that something's messing with me, whether, someone's trying to rob me, or some animal's trying to eat me, or some rattlesnake's trying to, bite me, or just snuggle up with me because I'm warm, and, then you startle it and it bites you. It's not necessarily that they came up just to eat you, but it's like, I think that they called us abnormal because we still had these reflexes, and they didn't have the reflexes, and because people lost these reflexes because we're depending on someone else to tell us when danger is around. We're saying, oh, if danger's happening and someone got shot, call 911, and then the ambulance and the police and everyone's going to come, and people are going to do reports, and someone just did. And it's like, if we were allowed to have our instincts, like I've been in places where it's just like, we got a bad vibe, like, we want to listen to that bad vibe, and it's like, we got out of there, and then as soon as we go home and turn the news on, the place we just left, explosions or fires or violence or riots broke out literally after we left. And it's like, was that a planned event? I don't know. Was that spontaneous? Was that like that, whatever those fizzy things in the film case, in the film container, where the pressure was building up and we could sense it? It's like, and it could happen where you could be like, oh, that you have 50-50 chance. You could say, oh, I have a bad vibe, let me leave, and there may not be anything happen. But I know for a fact a lot of the times where it was like, we got a bad vibe about this, we left and there was danger. Or it's like, Just like sometimes you're on a one-way street somewhere and there's like literally a riot and smoke and people flipping cars over and burning couches and throwing them off balconies. I've been in East Lansing, Michigan. I used to live there. Stuff happened all the time with these college students, and it was just like sometimes you just end up down the street. You're like, oh no, I have a bad vibe, and I just need to race through. I've seen snowball fights where they're breaking people's car windows and stuff, and that could cause someone to go blind. There could be a child in the car, plus they have to pay for that, and you're like scared, and it's like crime against someone's expensive object. So the whole point is right now is it's like the longer that I go feeling manipulated and controlled by a certain person, and once again, having had grown up in an abusive household, it feels like my role in this is to allow that person to have their way, whatever that means. And my role is that they helped keep a roof over my head when I was a kid. They've given my children gifts. They took me out to eat on my birthday once or twice or 10 times, and it's like I owe them. In order for them to stay alive, in order for them to function and pay their bills, they need me to be hurt. They need to take it out on me. It's like sometimes there's stories that the man's at work and he's an abusive job or he's in a racist situation. He's coming home, he's beating his wife and causing problems, and all kids and everyone's crying, and she's got black eyes, and then he gets drunk and passes out, and then she cleans his laundry, makes him coffee and breakfast and lunch the next morning, and gets him off to work. Helps him clean himself out, make sure he can shave, and he has his clean clothes and everything, and his briefcase all packed. And then he goes off to work, and it was like she was the punching bag because he was able to get his anger out and his frustration out and then calm down enough to go drink his alcohol and pass out. Now he's able to get up 7 o'clock the next morning and get ready for work again. And it's like, if she were to go to her sister's house or if she were to take the kids and flee, then he'd be at home, tearing up the house and breaking dishes and kicking the dog and, who knows, drunk driving and all that stuff. And so this wife would feel obligated, if I'm the punching bag, it'll save my kids, it'll save my dog, it's easier, and I've been in marriage to an abusive man, so I know how it feels like to be that punching bag at home. Like, if he takes that out of me, then I don't have to spend the next 3 days trying to pick up broken dishes off the ground or deal with my car that he wrecked because he had some issues, and then he takes the money and buys a computer or whatever with my car, and our kids still have shoes, stupid, and then he ends up getting the computer robbed from him, and of course not insured, but anyways, it's like, that's back, one of the old Macs, $2,000-3,000 computer, but it's like, in my mind, I said, if I'm here as this punching bag, and if I'm here, like, here you go, you can hurt me. It's like, if he hurts me, if he gives me a black eye, if he breaks my foot, and I can't walk outside the house for 3 months, then it saves me from him tearing up the house or hurting the kids, or I've had, where he's being a jerk off and had the music cranked up for 4 days in a row while the neighbors are knocking on the door crying, pleading, please, I haven't been able to sleep in 4 or 5 days because you playing the music all night, every night, turned up all the way, the bass all the way, and it's just like, and it's like, well, if he hurts me, then he won't hurt her anymore. He won't hurt these people at work that he's, trying to sexually abuse, and strangers, and that, he had to go to residential areas and pick up stuff. He's a sex offender. It's like, well, if he harms me, then maybe I could save a woman from having this, because I don't want my worst enemy to get hurt. And my mind, because of the way I grew up and the way I was raised, it's like, well, if they use me as a punching bag, then they're going to go to work and they're going to provide a roof for me and my kids so that I don't have to be outside. And they're going to provide just enough food to keep me from starving to death. But it's not going to be enough to actually even have energy to barely even walk to the park. It's not going to have energy to clean up my house or to wash my bathtub. It's going to be just enough that I can feed my kids in return and do laundry and tuck the kids in at night. Like, that's all the energy I had. I didn't even drive anymore for years. And it was just like, it was just so sickening. It's just so sickening. Um, and watching these videos this morning, it was really great because you can see the comments on the bottom. And it's just like, wow, there's a lot of messed up people. And I'm not talking about the people who wrote the comments. When I see them, I see a lot of like, wow, this is happening to more people. It's not just me. I'm not alone. And the other thing is, you could see whoever's being manipulative or controlling, um, you know, and they were talking about narcissists. There's a lot of messed up people like that too. And how do you go through life being treated like that and learning from that and being isolated in your family to think that that's the way you live? Or either, if some in my family, it's like the male role of power and control and abusing others was passed down to the male child, and the taking the abuse and putting up for with it and being called fat and told you're fat, you're miserable, you're not going to amount to anything, and you're just like, well, I'm going to not go work out anymore. I'm not going to do my juicing. I'm just going to just overeat fattening foods because I want to fulfill that role so that what you say is actually the truth. And you're realizing that you're wearing a size 8 or a size 6 or a size 10, and they're telling you how fat you are, or even a size 12 or 14, and you're realizing when you look in the mirror after you talk to these people, and they're telling you that you look like you weigh 700 pounds, and that you're unhealthy and all this stuff, and then you realize the people that look like tall and skinny can't even fit into my clothes, which I realize I have a weird body shape where I can fit in really small clothes and still feel and be fat on the scale. And I've been working out my whole life since 2nd grade, like purposefully working out. But then yeah, you hear someone say you're fat, you never amount to anything, you're unhealthy, da 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 da. Like, I'll tell you who looks healthy. This person looks healthy. This person, you don't look healthy. I was like, you see people walking up and down the street when you come to visit me. You don't. It's like you're talking about this flat-bodied person. It's like a lot of those people are trans, and this person's against transgender and all this. There's like that person with the skinny hips and the flat stomach and the muscular arms that's got that long pretty hair and smooth skin. That's actually a male to female. And it's like, of course they ain't got hips like me. Of course, and they're not even the same race. My body type looks like my relatives. It's like, we had big hips, big thighs, big butts, bigger lips. I got stomach hanging out from having 2 kids and then high stress cortisol. I had a big chest. I'm one of the few people that I even know in my entire family that nursed for 3 years straight, at least. And it's like, I went to an event, there's 200 blacks, and they said, who here has nursed at all? Like, who here has nursed for at least a year? And 2 of us raised our hand, and they're like, who here has nursed for at least 2 weeks? And like, 4 people raised their hand, and it's like, who's ever nursed? I'll even try it in the hospital. And like, one more person raised their hand, and I was like, oh wow, it was like 100-something women in here with kids that they didn't nurse. And it's like, it's not the point. The point is someone to make me feel ugly because I got my chest sagging down to my waist, and because I nourished my children and fed them and was able to, with no food, no help from family members, no food stamps or anything, I was somehow able to get just enough nutrition to keep my babies from starving to death and to feed them. And even if I didn't want to nurse, there'd be no other way, because I would not have been able to afford formula, and it changes your body. And if you're from African descent in the U.S., where your ancestors were slaves, you're bred for strength, you're bred for being able to breed and have more kids. And if you're going to pay top dollar or find a different value if you're able to have a kid after a kid after a kid and still maintain your workload and not die or not have stillborns and be able to nurse them. Like, and, stay strong, and then they stay strong. Like, you're going to be bred more, basically. And if you're sickly and you can't hold, and I'm not trying to say this against our society or people in our society now, and plus there's a lot of toxins and a lot of stress in our society that makes it hard for people to stay pregnant. I'm talking from a black slavery mind, no one ever thinks of this. Like, we're raised like cattle. If you have a cow that's always having miscarry and you're going through this and you're extra feeding and you're having the vet check her out and all this stuff, and then something happens. But if you have one that's just like one cow after another and she's maintaining her milk and the babies are strong and they're going on to have their own babies, like, you see this bloodline, like, oh, maybe there's something about that. It's like my people were built to breed. We had no problems getting pregnant, no problems. It's like, you don't use birth control once, you're pregnant. Basically, my family is like, it's like, you don't, it's like, you don't even have those relations with birth control in my family, or you're going to be pregnant. Like, boom. Like, you're not going to be sitting there for 3 years without birth control and being like, oh, this is strange, I never got pregnant. Like, no. It's like, and it's like being able to nurse and still needing to do work. So it's like, I got muscle and fat at the same time. And the fat as a survival skill to maintain the pregnancies and to not starve to death, because it's like, our people were very poor, hardly had any food, and I had even less food, and than my own relatives, and then my own ancestors. I had a lot less food because we were isolated, and we didn't have relatives and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles bringing stuff over, or bringing over, a lot of my relatives owned houses and stuff. They could have gardens and all this. Anyways, I'm just really mad because, and I think the one woman made a point about, I don't know if she made this point, but it came to mind just now. When you're in an abusive and controlling relationship, and it's like, some of these videos were, a lot of children under 18 were responding about, I don't know what to do, I can't get out, and they're like, well, maybe you can do it after school club or this, that, but it's like, it still feels like the more you try to stay away from them, the more it builds up and the worse it becomes. It's like you almost have to just not be there. Like, not, like, I don't have the solution for that right now, because everyone as an individual is different. I just feel like there's got to be a way to just value yourself. If you're growing up in an abusive place, it's hard to value yourself as important as your priority. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, say there's a tent that you know about, and anyone who goes in there gets slapped and beat up and gets broken limbs, black eyes, bleeding cuts and wounds. They go in there, they're opening the door to be like, hurt me. And some people just go there. They didn't know the first time. Or maybe they're just on drugs and they stumbled in there. And if your friend weren't, you're walking around, you're looking for some water or something, and you're saying, I want to go in that tent and see if they have any water, and someone's like, if you go in that tent, you're going to be beaten, you're going to be hurt, you're going to be starved, tied up, black eyes. If you can even get out of there alive, you're going to have to go to the emergency room, and you're going to be covered, you're going to be covered in cuts and broken limbs, compound fractures and all this. And I would say, oh, really? Well, that's my body, my self-preservation is telling me not to go in that tent, And being raised in an abusive household is like, oh, maybe that's my comfort zone, being slapped around. That's my comfort zone. And then getting up in the morning and going to school and pretending like nothing happened because you're ashamed of yourself. You feel guilty. You're being told that's your fault. That's what the abusers are saying. It's your fault that I'm hurting you. It's your fault that I'm slapping you around. It's your fault that I'm yelling at you and beating you with like leather belts and all these other objects in the middle of the night while you're trying to sleep and get good grades. And I'm hearing that from another relative. The abused relative is dead. And this person is continually now saying, it's her fault that I beat her up. She started it. I never once saw this person, the woman, raise her hand or do anything. And one of the times that she was beat up is because I had a fever. And the temperature was taken, and she told her spouse, hey, she has a fever, she's not going to be able to go to school today. She got the crud beat out of her. The house was torn to pieces. My toys were all broken up. Clothes were torn. And it's like a shackle to me to even have any. There's some family heirlooms and some other items in my house. It's a shackle to me to even walk by those items, because it's like, Not only was now this person saying, oh, it's her fault that I beat her up, because she was a responsible parent and said that your kid has a fever, it's his kid too. And then having that flashback every morning is like, Mom wouldn't have got beat up if I didn't have a fever. And I just threw my clothes on and tried to say, please let me go to school with my brother. Please let me out of this house. And they wouldn't let me. I was sick, you know. And it's like, so I continue to go on waking up with this vision of your loved one supposedly getting beat to smithereens, having the house completely destroyed, having brother yelling, please stop, leave her alone, please stop, locking ourselves in another bedroom, trying to hide. Everyone trying to hide from this monster. And this monster is still talking to me like, it was her fault that I beat her every time that stuff happened. And it's like, it's your fault when you raise your fist and punch somebody in the face. Like, I don't care if someone spit on you. I mean, I took martial arts. If somebody's going after me, I'm going to raise my hand to stop that fist. If they're trying to shoot me or put a knife in my gut, I've been trained to knock that knife down or get that arm twist around their back and do something. You know, if someone's coming after me, I've been trained to self-defense to protect me and my kids. That does not mean, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone's coming after me that I need to, like, punch them. And I don't know. Mom never went after him. Mom never threw a punch. Mom just was minding her own business, being an adult, being a responsible parent, and that garbage happened all the time. And I have images of this, and it's like, I keep my doors locked. I got curtains upon curtains upon curtains. I've got, you know, just reaching out, trying to see, like, can I get counseling for this? Is God not helping me with this? And it's, like, embarrassing because that behavior that happened in my parents' household when I was growing up was the norm until I was 28. I thought that that's how loved ones treat each other, by beating the crap out of them. And now I'm, like, physically 2,000 miles away. The beating the crap out of somebody has turned into manipulation and control and trying to guilt trip people and trying to say, you don't like me anyway. This, like, maybe I don't like you. It's like, I don't like you any better when you're trying to control and talk garbage about me and tell me how nasty I look and tell me how I don't know how to be a parent. And it's like, my spirit and my emotional side says, no, you love that person. You're obligated. That person's a blood relative. But my mind was like, you know what I want to tell you? If you're going to pull these, what is the word, baited questions and be like, you know, this person's manipulated. Well, if you don't come and get me from this hotel, then I'm going to get a cab to your house, get on your computer, and get a plane out of here because you guys don't like me anyway. What I should have said was, you're not coming over here. Take your butt to the library or to your hotel front desk and have them call a cab and go to the airport. See ya. Like, that's what my mind is like, fine, that's the way it is. What do? Oh no, I feel guilty. This person has no other loved ones to ever talk to them. I'm going to get in the car right away and cancel my entire day. You know, when I'm living in all these housing programs, I got jobs that I'm, you know, it's like you're the last one on the totem pole. You're trying to keep this job. For any reason, they could lay you off or whatever, even if it's not anything you did wrong. If they have financial problems, they're going to lay off the last person hired. And it's like trying to go to school, taking calculus and organic chemistry and physics and being like, I got to study and write papers and, you know, dealing with the manipulative church that also used and abused us, and we gave tens of thousands of dollars to, and like, well, that I didn't have, and, you know, tried to raise money for them and give them everything that I owned, from, you know, cleaning out my closets to give them $1,000 worth of property so that they can have a yard sale and send their kids to the mission trip and refuse my kids to go. And I just, it's like, enough is enough. And sometimes I wish I'd go back and say, like, fine. But I felt sorry for the person. I felt obligated. I felt like, well, they kind of bought me this piece of junk car that breaks down every 3 days. I owe it to them to go get them. And it's like, if I felt that guilty, I should have said, fine, I'm putting the keys in the car. Come and get your car, drive your butt to the airport, and I'll be on the bus, or I'll walk for the rest of my life if I had to, you know, like, I immediately don't, I was immediately like, oh, I better do what this person says, 'cause that's what I was trained to do. My mom was training me to follow this person, and then my mom died, there was a missing link, you know. Before my mom was alive, I did what I wanted to do, didn't have to deal with this junk, and then that person lost their person to control, and that became me. And this lady, different lady, was like, just, if you're having a hard time and they're trying to manipulate you over the phone, over email, and you have a hard time saying no, at least give yourself a pause. Don't do what you've always been doing and say yes. Like, oh yes, I'll come to your hotel and get you. Oh yes, I will send you this expensive thing that you want me to send you. You know, and it's like, you can make this or buy this yourself, and you want me to get it just to make me more dependent, or to make me to call you begging for money. It's like, oh, now I bought you this expensive gift for Christmas. And I didn't do I couldn't afford it. You know, I had been getting food for the 2 holidays from the food bank and from someone else, because my food bank is not open outside of my work hours. And it's like, right now they're like, well, you don't call me, you don't this, you don't that, and you're fat, and your mama's fat, and da-da-da, and da-da-da, and da-da-da, and this person's skinny, and they look good, and your brother's new girlfriend, she's so nice, and she's skinny, and and they look so healthy, they look so much healthier than you do, and it's like, then I see these people in the store, and they're eating meat and fat, and they don't eat vegetables, and they're eating potatoes, and I'm like, who cares? And then for 3 weeks later, that's all I'm thinking about is I'm fat. And I'm gonna die if I eat potatoes, or if I eat meat. And I'm like, my kids are growing and we're like highly anemic, and it's like we're eating beef, and I'm like, or like jerky, and you know, we're splitting a steak once every 3 weeks, like we're splitting once. And so I've totally feel like I know in my heart, when I'm away from this person, when I don't talk to this relative, I feel like this is giving God an opportunity to mold me into the person that He wants me to be, which is a physician. When people ask me questions and give me time to talk and think about my answers, I realize I know a lot more than people try to make me think I know. And then thing is, I know a lot, so much, that they take that and they steal it. Straight up, like, it's been happening for years. They straight up steal my stuff. I've even had people, so Christians, copy and paste my home. They're like, oh, I had to remediate my homework. Can I see your homework? I promise I won't copy it. And then they happen to send me, oh, can you please proofread it? Because English is my second language. Straight up copy and paste pages of mine. And you're like, you're a Christian. You should know better than to do that, than to steal my work. Second of all, you promise that you will not take it, and you just want to look at it. And then third of all, like, thank God sent me this. And it's like, absolutely not. And it's like, then these people want me to help them, and they want me to help them study, and they want me to bend over backwards. And it's like, I'm at a point right now, I'm the only student that graduated that's a single parent. I probably have the most debt out of anyone that walked across that graduation stage. If there is anyone who's got kids from different marriage or something, they're all getting child support. Their parents are buying them houses and cars, and they got nice clothes, they got computers, they got bags, they got nice laptops that work, they got nice cell phones that work. It's like, how am I going to be a doctor if my phone doesn't even work? And people are trying to contact me to make appointments. How am I going to be a good doctor if I can't check my email, if someone's trying to contact me by email, or, you know, it's just sickening to me. It's like, I see all these people's parents helping them, so it's like, I can't be taken advantage of anymore, and I know that I'm doing a good job. I'm sitting at home, and I'm like, anyone who's watching this video, even watch it this far, is going to be like, man, this was crazy. But it's like, I'm speaking about experience and about hope for my future and your future, because I know that I'm not alone. I'm speaking from experience, because it comes to a point where for 28 years of my life, I thought that this behavior was normal. I thought being hurt was normal because that's how I was raised. Nobody told me any differently. And when you're in an abusive household, you're not really allowed to go to anyone's house to see differently. You're not allowed to go to your friend's house. You're not allowed to spend the night anywhere. You're not allowed to go to a relative's house. The relatives aren't allowed to come in your house and see how things really are. And then you don't have anything to even compare it to. And if you go out 2 or 3 times a year to a friend's birthday party or something, it's just like it's so ingrained that couples and relatives beat each other to a pulp that you just assume that everyone is in the room with the door shut beating each other. It's like you don't realize they're in the room with the door shut listening to music, going to sleep, in their underwear, that their door is shut because they have guests in their house and they're wearing underwear. It's not because they're beating each other to a pulp. And I was under the impression that they were all beaten and hurt and manipulated and having their stuff stolen from them and having their bank accounts cleaned out by a spouse who's angry and all this stuff. And so I had to learn, and it's like, I did go to classes and I did read a lot of books and I did learn from other people, and I spoke up the truth, and I've had several people say, I'm so glad you spoke up the truth, because that gave me the strength to A, know that I'm not alone, not that I'm some kind of freak show, and B, it gave them the strength to get up out of an abusive relationship and see what they could do legally if it's a restraining order, which doesn't really mean that much, but it's what can you do on your end, whether it's like it may or may not help, but it could give you a higher probability that they may stay away. It's like you got all these murder-suicides. So, that piece of paper is not going to do anything by the time the police, if they ever even come to your house, unless, neighbors call them, because there's bloody bodies in the street. And what, is happening all over all the neighborhoods I've lived in. It's been murder-suicide from abusive ex-spouses, even spouses that have gone on to remarry others. They're still coming after these women. So that's where I'm at right now, is I want to speak up because it does help someone. I've heard other people talk about their experience and how they've gotten through it, and it's also given me the strength to say it's okay to realize that I've been treated poorly. It's okay to feel ashamed that you allow that. Like, it's not your fault that you're being treated poorly, and no matter how hard you try to get away from the person. You could be on a spaceship orbiting Earth, change all your cell phone numbers and change your email number. They could still find you. They can still call you. They can still block their number. They can still get a letter to you or send you an email that when you read it, your heart just spills open with just feeling guilt and shame and feeling poorly. But they try to do everything they can to break you. This person that I'm talking about does everything they can to break you down. And their motive right now is to get me and my kids to move back into their house and be treated like slaves. I've been to people's houses when I was a kid. They were grandmas and grandpas, and they'd sneak up into their garage and give you popsicles, give you little candy. That you'd watch them, wash their the grandbaby's hair and do their hair. They'd have a clean house. They'd set out food and snacks. They'd let you get into the trunk in the spare room and play with all the clothes from the 50s and the 60s. And they'd watch you while you swam in the lake, and they'd try to take you out on the boat, and they'd groom their yard and get out all these outdoor toys. And I just, I wish that my parents were like that. These were someone else's grandparents. But it's like, they live on the lake, and they played with the kids, and they provided with them. Like, my kids went to my dad's, and everything, there was boards with nails, there was guns all over the house. It had his house torn apart and didn't have it put together, and I had 2 babies in the house. And people get mad that don't let your babies be unattended, but sometimes you just gotta go to the bathroom or you gotta take a shower, and you have a decent house. You could quickly go to the bathroom with the door open and see your kid. But if you got guns all over the place and you got nails and all rusty stuff and heavy tools and, containers of toxic stuff all over the house, it's like, no, kids, I'm not going to go to the bathroom until you go to bed, or you're going to come with me every time, because it's like, I don't want you picking up a gun and shooting me, And, it's just like, I never exactly learned how to provide all that for my kids, and I did what I could. I take them to park, I take them to the library and stuff. But in my house, it's just like, it's like being cursed. It's like it's pretty much set up like my dad. I mean, I don't have guns and nails and all that stuff, but it's like it's set up so that we can isolate. It's set up with our video games and our books so we can isolate and not have to go out and not have to be around people. Because when you're around people and someone wants to control you, that gives you more energy and strength to gain your own control back. And that's what abusers don't want. They want to block you. They don't want you to be able to drive out of the house. They don't want you to be able to pick up a phone and call somebody. And if you're gonna call someone, if I was at my dad's house trying to call somebody because my cell phone didn't work, they're gonna pick up the line and eavesdrop. And even when I was at my dad's, he wouldn't even give me any access to the internet. When I was married, he would give nighttime hours to my ex-husband, who was looking at pornography. He wouldn't give me any time on the internet, 0 minutes, when I lived there. And when I visited, he would give you, oh no, don't bring your computer, you don't have to worry about that. And then he'll give you limited time to use some crusty old computer, like literally crusty. It's like he dumped something nasty, I don't even know what, all over. It's like, he gives you limited time on some computer that doesn't work, and that has all these viruses. So you're like, I don't want to check my email because I might end up, somehow this computer is going to hack my name and stuff, and, it's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy, and there's some things that I'm not sharing because they're more creepy. And when I'm talking out loud, I'm just like, why do I even put up with this? And part of it's because I feel sorry for the person. Part of it's because, like, what if I turn into that person and nobody told me how to behave, and then my kids reject me and never talk to me again? It's like, there's a reason they have social groups. There's a reason they have counseling. There's a reason they have, what are those ones people used to have to go to? Management, not violence, anger management class. There's a reason that they have these skills classes to help you get along with others. There's a reason that they have retreat centers to help you get it. There's a reason they have books and YouTube videos. Like, what if you are the abuser and you don't realize it? It's because someone taught you how to be that way. And so that's what I'm asking God to help me break this trend. And when someone is abusive, even 2,000 miles away, and the kids see me, the result of the abuse, and they see me kind of turn into a cave person, it affects them too. And it's teaching them to keep putting up with this mess. So I'm going to push stop, and I'm going to go ahead and get some tea and start getting ready to go. And I'm just going to ask God to guide me. I'm just going to put this in general. I wish the light was the other direction. I think what I should do, and I guess I always talk about accountability. Usually it's my business accountability. I never did print out those forms, but I think I'm going to print them before I leave today. And I never print out these forms. And I did go and make 2 appointments with 2 neighbors for medical care. I'm the type of person that right now in my heart, in order for me to see the world as a physician and as a birthing advocate and as a parent and as raising animals and even taking care of myself and doing a good job at my own work or volunteer positions and not freaking out about other abusive people, like learning how to set healthy boundaries with these people, I feel like I need to end all contact with these toxic people and not feel obligated because if they were a friend or if they were a neighbor or if they gave me something once or if they bought me a computer once or if they were a blood relative or there's other toxic people in my life that I either know that they've financially messed up my bank accounts or have been tracking somehow gotten onto my bank accounts. They could track everything I buy, when and where. And I may have found out that a relative is potentially using my name to get a cell phone and potentially my social security number. I need to. The credit report only showed home number, no phone, no cells. So I'm about to call them. And it's like, these toxic people can ruin your life, ruin my relationships. You know, I married an abusive person. I've had a little bit. Nobody's like breaking down my door trying to date me right now at all, ever in my life. I've had a little bit of people express interest in me, or you have that instinct that they're looking at you, or they like you, or someone's trying to hook you guys up, or like I've had these instincts recently in the past year and a half, or last year, and because of the abuse, it's like I'm not allowed to be with this man. I'm not allowed to. If they found out I'm going to a baby shower today, this abusive person is going to be mad at me and yell at me and tell me I'm sloppy and I'm fat and this and that. And it's like, it doesn't matter what I do, they're going to tell it, but they're going to be like so mad because they don't have friends to invite them to parties, and they actually do have friends to invite them to parties, but their friends are fat and old looking and they're healthy and they eat salad and their friend doesn't, so they're not going to, if my friend's healthy or not healthy, I would take a salad to their house or an apple or something and just not say anything and just be offering gifts. It's like, I don't care how overweight someone is. For the most part, whatever their body type or whatever their health habits, most of the people I know outside of my family are the nicest people that I've ever met in my life. Like, they're so sweet, so caring, so loving, like, make you laugh. They know how to have a good time. They're playing cards. They have their favorite movies and TV shows, and it's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing. So right now, I'm in a position where, I need to, for accountability, to get off the subject, to get my mind on raising my kids, because it's like, these people will say stuff to you or email you something that they're trying to mentally shut you down, and it works. It's like having a street girl, ring your doorbell, and you look at them, and you're just like, oh, this image is in my head. It's like, I can't get it out. It's like burned into it. I was like, no, why did I have that? I wish I never opened the door. It's like, you can't even look at the peek hole if they're out there. It's just like, I wish I had never seen that. I wish I never heard that. I wish I never, you're just like, burns an image in your mind, and that's what I want to get away from. So for accountability people, my next step, I had some medicinal herbal treatment, medicinal ideas, and I had a way that I was going to do some research and or provide my own homemade medicines, basically taking someone else's bulk and packaging it in a way so people don't have to necessarily buy the whole container. They can buy it in a bulk way, and so, or I can do the whole containers. And we didn't get, usually at the graduates get bonuses or gift baskets with postcards and order forms saying your first order you'll get 50% off of all these supplements and different things. We never got anything like that this year, and I was really shocked, and so I don't have anything for my patients. And even if I do work in someone else's clinic, I need to have these medicines because they're the ones I want. And if someone comes to me, I want them to be able to have it. A lot of the ones are hard to find, and I want them to be able to take, if they're sick or their kid's sick, I want them to be able to take it right away. I don't want them to have to buy the whole bottle necessarily if it's something they only need like 3 days worth. So that's something I'm looking into, is getting my name on this packaging and everything, and just making sure that I do write down the date, the lot number, the company, and put that on a sticky label so that they know, what they got. And then I have the sheet on the side to say this is what this person has as far as their medicine, that I have a copy of it, and that I do type out the same thing, at least handwrite or type out what I'm giving them and how the directions on to take it. And there's a lot of most of the people now in my life are English as a second language, and so I need to be very clear and keep accurate records that I gave them this accurate medicine or gave them prescription or told them to go to the health food store to get it, and that I gave them clear directions, because I don't want them taking a whole bottle of something when I said to take one a day. You know, like I do. I need to protect myself and protect them, and have it written so that their kids or whoever's better at reading the English, if they're not able to, they can clarify it, and also write it on the write it on the bottle or the envelope of the medication, or if it's a tea. So that's where I am right now, accountability, people, and it's finally the more time since graduation, the abusive person has been trying to break me down, to tell me I'm not going to amount to anything, that I'm never going to be a doctor, that I'm never going to earn any money, I'm never going to have any patients, and it's distracted me from spending the time to get my paperwork together, to get my the documents that I wanted, supplemental things, or trying to do my DEA license and all this. It's like it's blocked me from doing that because this person had promised to help us pay for food and for my classes, and they lied about that straight up. And now we're in survival mode. We are always one step away from homelessness, me and my kids, and it's already seeing our food. Someone just bought us food, so we have food. And then for Christmas and Thanksgiving, someone brought us food, and we still have some of that stuff from Christmas, apples and potatoes. So I'm in a position right now where I haven't had an opportunity to build up my business, and this person knows it. They know it, and they're tracking me. And wow, this is saying it out loud really makes it cement to myself that this is an instinct. This is a red flag, and that I need to really move away from this type of behavior, and not allow this abuse to happen to me and my kids, and to do what I can. And it sucks because it takes a lot of energy to get away from people who harass you. It takes a lot of energy when you're advertising for your business and you have this phone number and this email address. It's hard to just shut them down. And I'm going to ask God and pray about it and realistically write some options, like maybe I do have to turn I've tried to get away from different relative, with my abusive ex-husband, his relative, by getting a P.O. box and doing, it's like if something has to be sent, or if you need to notify me about something, you could send it there, and he didn't care to communicate with us at all anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So, but I end up shutting the P.O. box. So it's like, if it takes me to I've had to move and keep my address secret and get a P.O. box for emergencies, and if I have to do that, I'm going to do that. If I have to change my phone or shut the phone off, I can't afford the phone anyways. This person has access to a lot of, when we were homeless, this person had set up a phone for us. It helped set up my insurance. This person has access to my personal records, even without a release of information. So I really need to talk about that with the Lord, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. So accountability, people, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. It is a holiday weekend. I'm going to be talking with some potential clients and patients the next today and two today and one next week, and then I need to talk to a couple doula patient clients this week. So it's just going to be stuff going on, and it's like, it's fun in a way, and the abuser has made me feel like I can't account for, like, I am not going to be able to be capable of doing anything. I mean, my old church was like, you're never going to be a doctor, you're not organized enough, you're not this, you're not that. And it's like, it was all jealousy, it was all lies, it was all trying to use, they were in relationships where they were abused and treated poorly, and they want to find someone they think is the weakest one. And I'm weak because I've raised thinking that it's okay for people to abuse me, and it's not necessarily even always because of my race, that people will play that race thing, because they'll be like, it's my word against theirs. I will abuse this person over and over again, and when she tries to report it to the boss, who's also, they're white and their boss is white, it's going to be their word against mine, and they know that their word is going to trump mine based on skin color. So this is one of the things that I'm dealing with. I'm kind of in a complicated, it's not even as easy as peeling an onion, it's more of a convoluted type thing. And I'm just grateful. I'm going to stand up, put some music on, and just get ready to go to this party and just be grateful for everything I have.